So this is a mobile home park case, and it's a one where the housing provider just seemed to do everything wrong and got into quite a bit of trouble. In fact, they went under basically. And then when they went under, that's when all of the problems that had been the illegal activities that they had been doing came to light because the residents were unable to move. And this is it's very interesting. But in order to move from a mobile home park, you've got to get a permit from the county. And the residents were unable to get their permits because of all the illegal things that the owner of the park had been doing. So factually, this is a Marion County, Indiana case, and the mobile home park was going under. So they were going out of business, and they told everybody in the park, hey, we're closing, you've got to move, you've got to get your things out by a certain date. And that was probably a date that was set by litigation that was going on, or maybe with a lender, but there was a date certain. And some of the residents were unable to move because they didn't have a title to their unit. So understand, in a mobile home park setting, the owner usually owns the land, and they rent out a pad to the resident, and then the resident puts either their own mobile home on it, or they buy one or rent one from the owner of the park. So there's two different components there of what's being paid for, and the pad is real estate, but the mobile home unit itself, no matter how big or small it is, that's personal property. And personal property is governed by like a car title or a boat or an RV, right? It's the same legal idea. And when you buy a car or boat or mobile home and you pay it off, you have to get the title from the seller. And in this case, the seller was the mobile home park, and they were refusing and failing to get those titles over to the residents who had bought and paid for them over the years, and now they had to move. So that was the first thing they did wrong, was they had failed to provide the title to the mobile home unit to the resident after they paid it off. So clearly a serious problem. Another thing they did wrong was that the tenants, the resident, was paying personal property tax when the mobile home unit was not in their name. So just like a car, right, the mobile home is the same thing. When you own a car, you have to pay property tax on it, like with the BMV. But you don't pay for taxes on something you don't own. So really, since the title hadn't transferred, the mobile home park owner was supposed to be paying the personal property tax on it, and they were not doing that either. So that was a second layer of the problems. The third thing they did wrong was, before they even started operating and selling these units to residents, they were supposed to get a permit from the county to do so. So they failed to get that permit. Now, how all this escaped the authorities for so many years, I don't know, but they didn't do anything right. So they were not transferring title correctly. They were having the tenant pay the personal property tax incorrectly, and they didn't even have a permit to sell these mobile homes to begin with. So wrong, wrong, wrong. 3 strikes, you're out. What the court did was they entered into a settlement agreement, gave the owner of the park time to get all this done, transferred the properties correctly, and the residents ultimately got to keep the homes that they had bought, and they moved on their way and had their own life thereafter at a new park. So it finally got worked out, but it took the Attorney General's office, and they brought up 2 facts. Not only was all this done wrong contractually, but there were Deceptive Consumer Practices Act violations, and some of the residents were older, so they were also in the senior market, and they were violating a protection for senior citizens here in Indiana. So, 5 different legal problems by the owners of this park, and all could have been avoided just by some good business practices. We see this a lot, not necessarily malfeasance by the owner of the park that they were evil in their intent. They just were not operating their business correctly. And if they just transferred the title when they were supposed to, then the tenant would have owed the personal property tax on it. And if they just would have gotten their permits correctly, all these little things just add up. And we see this quite a bit in businesses. They get going on their operating day to day, and they just don't realize all the things they might be doing wrong, and how they can get tripped up and cause a lot of problems for themselves and for those that they're working with. So give us a call. We'd love to help you avoid problems. The old saying that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure is definitely true, and we like to be helping you solve those things so you don't get into bigger trouble later on down the road with more litigation and that kind of thing. Give us a call, and we'll help you stay in compliance. Thank you.